Intro music. It's
not even nearly it.
It's close enough.
Hello everyone, welcome to Thriving Scrubs. We're here to talk about the ongoing hour of Devastation spoilers that are coming out.
Spoiler season's in full swing. We're getting stuff most days now.
I'm so weak that every time spoiler season's going on, it just makes me happy every day.
It's my favourite time of the year, yeah.
Every 15 minutes I refresh the page. I'm like, come on, give me some jank.
We've got some jank, for sure.
Yeah, there's certainly some jank coming. Now, we actually recorded a video almost a week ago now that'll never see the light of day.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be about what we wanted to see in Hour of Devastation, but instead it became a should they or shouldn't they ban Etherworks Marvel discussion.
Yeah.
The day after we recorded that video, they banned it. So instead, we're going to talk about the little nuggets that we did discuss in that video that'll be lost. It'll be our lost tapes. They'll unearth them when we're dead.
Yeah, it'll come up when it comes up. And you'll have no reason to believe us, is the other interesting thing. You'll just have to take us at our word that we did make these predictions.
I think that what we should do is start every video by saying, we recorded a video a week ago, and since then...
It covers exactly this.
But one thing that Dave did say, just believe me on this, is that he wanted to see deserts matter in this next set, and I think it's safe to say that they're going to matter a hell of a lot more than they have done up until now.
It certainly looks that way, yeah. The deserts are coming in thick and fast. I mean, the first sort of... before we get into the synergy itself, I think it's interesting that we now have these new common lands, these common deserts that tap for coloured mana. So we've got one for each of the gods, and the art on each of them represents their shrine in ruins.
Yes.
It's just been wrecked.
Desolated.
How do you feel about these lands? Because they enter tapped.
They enter tapped, which obviously is not something that you want. I guess that's just what happens when you have a common land that cycles, because that is a pretty neat ability. When you look at the rare cycle of lands that cycle, they enter tapped, of course.
Yeah.
And they're blooming rare. So these are common, and you can pick up a fair amount of them, and you draw it on turn 8, you cycle it away. I think that's pretty decent. And they give your creatures little boons. And I think the most impressive one, for me at least, that's been spawned so far is Sand Strangler. Yeah,
Sand Strangler's a really cool card. I mean, the card that springs to mind, obviously, when you look at Sand Strangler is Flametongue Kavu, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. It's or Weldfast Engineer from the last set.
Yeah, similar sort of effects of creatures that come in and just shoot other creatures. That's usually going to be pretty good.
It's very rarely bad, and I think that if you can reliably make that card work, it's going to be really powerful uncommon.
And it's a beast, both literally, figuratively. You know, it's cool all round.
I don't think that. I mean, there are some, like Sidewinder Naga is a 3/2 for 3 that gets +1/+0 and trample if you have the desert. That for me doesn't feel like enough, because then you're paying 3 mana for an Alpine Grizzly sometimes.
With trample though, I think, because we're obviously talking about limited when we're talking about this desert synergy.
Of course.
I think trample is one of those abilities that does not get quite as much love as it deserves.
You certainly rate it.
I stand by trample. I think trample, particularly in limited, but not necessarily. This isn't necessarily exclusive to limited, because trample opens up a lot of really broken things.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a spell that gives a creature double strike, it's so much better with trample. Any pump spell on a creature with trample becomes so much better.
True, but if you do then lose the creature that pumped, you know. But all that I'm trying to flag up is that we are going to have to evaluate the power of each card, and then the payoff and the risk of picking up loads of lands, maybe in high pick slots, and they enter tapped, and then you have to have the synergy at the right time. So it's going to be a fun thing to try and get right when we're drafting, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And also for pre-release as well. You know, it's going to come down to how many deserts you open, to whether or not you want to run some of these.
Yeah, of course.
You know, Sidewinder Naga you don't particularly want to run in a deck with no deserts. Whereas Sand Strangler, you could just about get away with. You know, a 3/3 for 4 is actually fine.
You could look yourself in the mirror and not
hate yourself.
Not have a nosebleed.
Precisely, yeah.
So the second thing that's come about out of these spoilers, we challenged each other whilst we were recording this legendary video to come up with a new mechanic. Because we knew that there was a new mechanic coming. I came up with like exert, but for lands.
Something weird like that,
didn't work, and then yours was just deserts. So
yeah.
I guess in a way you got that right.
Points go to me for that one.
Turns out neither of us were right, because afflict is what seems to be the new mechanic in this set.
Yeah, or one of them. There's 2 new mechanics.
Yeah, well, one's sort of an advancement on the...
Yeah, we'll get to it. Yeah. But afflict is... How do you feel about afflict?
I'm going to have to play with it, because it's not... We're not going to be able to tell until you sit down and play with those cards, I don't think.
No.
Like, there are some... The Wildfire Eternal, which we covered in a video that did actually make it to YouTube... That's like that's a rare with an extra ability and afflict 4, so that's kind of a card all on its own.
Whereas when you get to the regular Eternal, Kenra Eternal, which is 1 and a black for a 2/2 with afflict 1.
Zombie Jackal Warrior hype, that's my new tribal. So just a 2/2 for 2 with afflict 1. Afflict, for anyone who doesn't know, reads: whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses X life, and then a creature will have afflict X.
I'm imagining we're mostly going to see afflict 1 and 2.
Yeah, I can't... Yeah, unless it's some weird rare.
I'd expect as well we're probably going to see some kind of weirdness with afflict, in that you'll have creatures with very low power with very high afflict.
Yes.
Much like Wildfire Eternal. I think
exactly.
That's probably going to be something that we're going to see a fair bit of.
I mean, run it through then. How does it work? If you're attacking with a Kenra Eternal, a 2/2 for 2, and it gets blocked by a Binding Mummy, then you trade off and a point of damage hits your opponent.
Well, it actually happens, so the trigger for afflict will happen as soon as blockers are declared.
Right.
So it will happen before damage. So if your opponent is at 1 life, they will die before those creatures trade. Afflict will happen before combat damage will.
Okay.
Because it's a trigger, it's a whenever the trigger will go on the stack. So, yeah, I mean, Kenra Eternal doesn't give me much to work with. I'm looking at Kenra Eternal and I'm thinking it looks like a basic common to me.
Yeah.
It's nothing to get excited about, I don't think.
But would you not have said the same of like Nefcrop Entangler when you first saw it?
Yeah, for sure.
It looked like a sort of basic common that sort of did exert, but not in a particularly exciting way. Turns out that card's actually pretty good. I mean, Gustwalker, similarly, I certainly didn't rate it as highly as it is now rated. So this set is important for 2-drops, I think, in limited.
Where it's going to come into its own with afflict is actually towards the end of the game. I think at the start of the game, you're not really going to care about afflict very much, but it's when you're playing aggressive decks, which it seems like, you know, so far we've seen afflict in red and black. I wouldn't be surprised if those were the only colours that had it. You know, possibly green.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
And, you know, where it's really going to matter is when you're playing these aggressive decks, because so often the fail point for an aggressive deck is when they get a big blocker in and you can no longer attack. If you can then build up a board state where if they block they lose, that's when it becomes useful.
Yeah, so your attack is guaranteed to inflict damage on your opponent whether they block or not.
Exactly.
That is quite good. Exert sticking around. Dave wasn't a fan of Exert, or at least not as much as you were in Barman's Cycling and Aftermath, but it is returning. As far as I'm aware, we've only had 1 card spoiled that confirms that.
No, we've had 2. So the first one is more basic. It's more along the lines of what we've seen, which is Kenra Scrapper, which is 2 and a red for a 2/3 with Menace. And when you exert it, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn.
That looks pretty strong to me.
Yeah, the cool thing about this one is, let's imagine a scenario where your opponent has no creatures, and you've got a Kenra Scrapper out. If you attack and exert it, you do 4 damage over 2 turns. If you attack and don't exert it, you do 4 damage over 2 turns.
Yeah.
Which no exert creatures we've seen so far do.
Right.
So that's interesting. Yeah, I think Kenra Scrapper looks pretty good.
A 2/3 for 3 with Menace isn't terrible anyway. And ticking it up, you know, it's reminiscent of Emberhorn Minotaur, which is a good card. This, I think, is possibly better.
The card that springs to mind for me is Brazen Wolves from Eldritch Moon.
Yeah,
Brazen Wolves was an excellent common, and it didn't have Menace.
But what we have, as well as this, I'm going to say probably quite high common. Obviously, the rest of the set's to come, so we could just be wrong.
It's hard to say, yeah.
But we do have a card that exerts that its exertability has nothing to do with attacking, which is novel and quite exciting. So we have Oasis Ritualist, costs 3 and a green for a 2/4 Naga Druid. It taps to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool, or you tap it and exert it to add 2 mana of any colour to your mana pool.
Yeah, of any 1 colour to your mana pool.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this one? Because I think this one, it really depends what's worth ramping into, apart from Nicol Bolas.
Yeah. I mean, well, they have printed cards that are quite similar to this. They printed Circle of Elders way back had Formidable.
Yeah.
And with tap for 2. And I don't think
it wasn't very good. That
ended up being that great.
No, it was pretty bad. So I think that's the problem with mana dorks that cost 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, unless you're in a set with loads of big Eldrazi, which it doesn't look like we will be. I don't think Oasis Ritualist is going to be that good, to be honest.
No, it does have pretty favourable stats. 2/4 blocks most
it's
stuff.
Decent.
But I don't know if I'm too. It's just nice to see them going different ways with Exert, and I wonder what we could see other activated abilities that exert creatures rather than having to attack.
I think the important thing to remember about mana dorks as well is the reason that the cheap ones are good is not just that they let you play 5 and 6 drops early. It's that they let you play 2/2 drops. It's that they let you do that as well, which this doesn't do.
No.
So we'll see. It's cool to have the option. I'm open to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be good. We'll find out.
One thing that Dave was adamant that he wanted to stick around was Embalm.
Yeah.
It isn't.
It isn't. And what they've done is made it worse.
Well, okay, you take this then. We have Eternalize as a key ability.
Yes. So the idea behind Eternalize is that Bolas is basically bringing back the dead, and they're all infested with this substance called Lazotep, which is this blue mineral sort of thing that's very common in Amonkhet, which is why some of them you can see they've got sort of blue stuff in their art.
Okay.
But the difference between Eternalize and Embalm is that the focus is on their keywords instead, because every creature you Eternalize comes back as a 4/4 black zombie and then whatever else it was. So for example, Steadfast Sentinel is 3 and a white for a 2/3 with Vigilance. You can Eternalize it for 4 white, and it works exactly like Embalm, except you get a 4/4 black zombie human cleric that's got Vigilance.
Yeah.
Which, to me, I don't like the idea of all the creatures coming back as 4/4s.
It does seem to me that there's the potential for just real boards, just boards full of 4/4s.
Yeah.
And even if they have different, even if one of them's got Vigilance and one of them,
it's got double strike.
Abyssal Spectres you. One of them's got double. I mean, your double strike one works.
The double strike one looks sweet.
If they can just bounce off each other, it depends how they use it and how I think each creature with Eternalize, you can't have a vanilla Eternalized creature because it's just pointless. Like you have to have something interesting going on, and the most interesting I think so far is Dreamstealer.
Yeah, for sure.
Eternalizing it, paying 6 mana for a 4/4. When it deals combat damage to a player, that player discards that many cards. And it has Menace.
Yeah.
That's not to be sniffed at.
Yeah, Dreamstealer looks good. The thing about Dreamstealer, though, is I'd much rather play Dreamstealer in a pump spell than Dreamstealer and then Eternalize. Because by the time you've Eternalized it, let's assume it's turn 6, and this is the ideal situation where you got it out on turn 3, you made them discard some cards, it died, and then you get it back on turn 6. Are they going to have 4 cards left to discard?
Well, no, but that doesn't matter. If they do, then they discard it. If not, then they discard their hand. I mean, I think that even something like Aven Initiate, which costs 7 to Embalm, and you look at it and you go, that's not good value. It turns out that just being able to create 2 permanents from 1 card is basically always good in Limited.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. I just think that the Eternalize on Dreamstealer is not that exciting. I may be completely wrong here. If it ends up being a really grindy format, then that's going to be insane. It's just the fact that it comes back as a 4/4. It just seems so weird. Why not just keep Embalm? Embalm's such a cool mechanic, and I understand flavor wise
the story.
They did it for the story, but it's not. It doesn't add anything. It's not. It's the Megamorph. People are comparing it to Megamorph, and I think they're right to, because it's not an interesting shift. It's just a shift for the sake of the story, which I think is a bit unfortunate.
I mean, that's you could sort of say that about the Gatewatch in general, I think. I'm going to reserve judgment on it until we see a few more a few more cards and see what their keywords do, and see if there's anything, when you Eternalize this card X, see how far they can push it rather than just make it a vanilla 4/4 every time, because that's a little bit
dull.
Silly. Yeah.
Dull is what I'm thinking of. It just reminds me of the Eldrazi Horrors from Eldritch Moon, where there are just 3/2s all over the place. Too many 3/2s. There is a limit on how many 3/2s I can stand, and 4/4s are just a pain.
Yeah, they are.
They're just a pain to deal with, and if everyone's got them, then it's like no one's got them.
Right, I'm going to stop you there because something's been spoiled literally whilst we've been talking.
Alright, go on
then. So I'm just going to read it to you. I haven't read it yet. Pride Sovereign costs 2 and a green. It's a cat, so I'm very excited already.
What's its power and toughness?
It's rare, it's a 2/2. Oh my goodness. Oh, what? Okay. Pride Sovereign gets +1/+1 for each other cat you control.
Oh, dope.
That's
awesome.
pretty good. You can pay a white, tap it, and exert it. create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink.
1 white and tap it to do that.
Yeah.
What? It's a 3-drop and you can, on turn 4, make 2 1/1 cats with lifelink.
Which then pumps it to a 4/4.
That's stupid.
That seems really good.
Is that real?
Here it is. From Magic the Amateuring. Thanks, guys.
Cheers, Magic the Amateuring. Good job. But that's stupid. Come on, that's insane.
That's what cats has needed.
That is a bomb rare.
I bloody love cats. Oh, if you're talking about limited, that's
of course
a bomb.
I'm always talking about limited, and that is a bomb rare.
I'm normally talking about limited, but when a card says cat on it...
Imagine someone's going to pull that and Regal Caracal at pre-release.
Yeah, it's not going to be either of us.
No, but that's insane. That's great news.
That is really cool. Okay, so we have a few mythics and a cycle to chat about.
I want to talk about the cycle first. So.
We have a cycle of defeats, which makes us very happy. Another thing, in fact, that we said in our discussion was that we wanted to see the Gatewatch lose for once.
Yeah.
And Rosewater has actually wrote an article that states that the Gatewatch are going to be less involved now.
Yeah.
We're not going to get as many Gatewatch Planeswalkers. Not all 5, 6. How many? How's 6 of them?
Well, if you count Ajani, there's 6.
Yeah.
I don't really count Ajani.
Yeah. Not all of them are going to be on every plane, in every block.
Yeah.
Which I think is great, because we're all getting a little bit sick of the Gatewatch, and you really don't want to start getting sick of Nissa, because you're supposed to like Nissa.
I want Nissa to die in this set. That's another thing that I think should really happen.
That's me. I'll read you the defeats now then. We have Gideon's defeat. Costs a white, it's an instant. Exile target white creature that's attacking or blocking. If it was a Gideon Planeswalker, you gain 5 life. I mean, as pure hate, that's glorious.
Yeah.
That's like Rending Volley levels of...
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Specifically FU in particular.
Go away this particular card.
If you're... I mean, that's just a complete blowout. You gain 5, you get rid of their Gideon. It's real good. And it's not terrible against any old white creature. Goro-bound Initiate, you know...
Yeah, it's fine. The weird thing about these is you cannot main deck them in any situation.
No, not unless Standard gets real weird.
Yeah. And even, especially like limited as well, it's one of those things where if you open these, you just got to hope that you're playing the colour and they're playing the colour. I think the white one probably stands to be the best in limited at pre-release, because white tends to be quite a good colour for sealed.
Yeah.
White and green, they tend to give you the sort of bread and butter stuff that you need.
Moving on, we have Jace's defeat. Costs 1 and a blue for an instant. Counter target blue spell. If it was a Jace Planeswalker spell, scry 2. I'm really surprised that this doesn't cost 1 mana, that it doesn't cost a blue.
Yeah, because it's not that good.
It's not better than the counter spells we have floating around.
Why would you run this over Negate or Essence Scatter or
exactly
anything like that?
Only if your opponent's playing Jace Planeswalkers, and even then, the likelihood of those two cards, if you having that card and them having a Jace, is so low. And 3 of these defeats all cost a single mana. I really think this should cost a blue.
Maybe this is, I believe Jace might be an Ixalan. I think I've heard whispers of that, so maybe there's going to be another busted Jace that this is going to be relevant for.
Oh, good.
But right now, no, it's pointless.
Yeah. Liliana's defeat costs a black. It's a sorcery. Destroy target black creature or black planeswalker. If it was a Liliana planeswalker, its controller loses 3 life. That's good.
Yeah.
There are 2 Liliana planeswalkers in Standard right now that is both seeing some play. Might see more now that Marvel's gone.
Liliana the Last Hope is a ridiculously good planeswalker, so I can see maybe this becoming something relevant.
And Liliana
Death's Majesty
is also good. Yeah, the losing 3 life thing is probably not the biggest deal.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most useful ones, because black creatures are quite common. Black planeswalkers are quite common. Nicol Bolas is a black planeswalker.
Yeah, in a zombie mirror, that's pretty mean. Up against, it kills Grim Flayer.
Yeah,
it kills a lot of stuff, and that's nice. It kills Noxious Gearhulk.
Yeah, it's interesting, because my thing about this is Fatal Push exists. So
true enough.
What are you siding out to bring this in? You know, perhaps some number of cards like that. But yeah, it's all of them. I mean, what we're saying kind of applies to all of them in that you only bring them in very niche positions, which makes you wonder how much sideboard space you can realistically free up for it.
I mean, it'll be similar to the Dragon's hate cycle of Rending Volley, Surge of Righteousness, the Freezy one, Flash Freeze.
Oh, but they all hit 2 colours. Yeah, they all hit 2 colours rather than 1.
Yeah, but I mean, they do all hit prominent planeswalkers in the
yeah, sure.
Chandra's defeat costs a red. It's an instant. Chandra's Defeat deals 5 damage to target red creature or red planeswalker. If it was a Chandra planeswalker, you may rummage, discard a card, and then draw a card.
So what does that hit, sorry?
It hits red creatures or planeswalkers, and it hits them for 5 damage.
Yeah, kills Glorybringer.
Kills, yeah, it does at instant speed. Yeah, again, it...
Kills all the Chandras.
You want to kill a Chandra or a red creature? Use this card sometimes if you have sideboard space.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
Finally, Nissa's Defeat. Costs 2 and a green for a sorcery. Destroy target forest, green enchantment, or green planeswalker. If the permanent destroyed this way is a Nissa planeswalker, draw a card. So the upside, you know, the specification of it has to be a planeswalker. Drawing a card makes this card much better than it is otherwise.
Yeah.
Drawing's better than gaining 5 life or your opponent losing 3 life if you're in a vacuum.
It's very niche.
I don't know why you'd want to destroy forests.
Yeah.
I can't think of any green enchantments beyond Bounty of Luxor.
There's Bounty of Luxor, there's Ulvenwald Mysteries. Yeah, I mean, Sandworm Convergence, that's what it's for.
There we go.
It's for Sandworm Convergence.
Yeah, I think this is probably the weakest one. But
yeah.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see just how sideboards shape up, because...
I mean, Glare of Heresy sort of play.
Yeah.
Glare of Heresy was in some sideboards. There's also the black kill spell. I think it's called Dark Betrayal. I might be completely off with that.
I'm going to say
it was a black mana, destroy target, black creature.
Right, yeah.
Something along those lines. We'll flash it up. We won't dig around for the name, but we'll pop it up there. But yeah, similar kinds of cards have seen play.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because this kind of card, I mean, in Limited they're worthless, I think, by and large.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're going to be incidentally good.
No,
but you don't main deck them.
No.
But when you're talking about Constructed, it is interesting because it's kind of a check on the meta. If a really good blue deck turns up, then all the blue decks start running the blue cards that hate the blue decks.
Yeah.
Which is just a weird sort of thing, isn't it?
It is a bit odd, yeah. I mean... Yeah, it is something that we're just going to have to see. And obviously, just because it's red, it doesn't mean that only certain decks can run it, because red can be incredibly aggressive, it can be completely controlling. So it is nice to have these spells, I think. I mean, it's, again, this video we made was great, wasn't it?
Oh, it was.
I was saying that we want less colourless bombs, because that's what breaks standard, and we want coloured, powerful, specific spells, and this cat that's just been spoiled fits that description precisely, and this uncommon cycle does as well.
Can I just check which ones of those are instants? So the white one is, the blue one is the red one an instant?
The red one is, yeah.
Okay.
The black and green ones are both sorceries.
That seems fair, yeah. Well, that's been some more spoilers. There's definitely more to come. I mean, we're going to have video after video for this stuff, surely. Perhaps we should start doing a weekly roundup or something like that. Who knows?
Sounds good. We'll figure something out.
In any case, let us know what you think in the comments about these cards. What about these hate cards? Are they good? Are they good? Let us know. Give us a comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. We're at Thriving Scrubs. It's been a pleasure as always. Good luck, have fun wherever you are. Goodbye.
Goodbye.